Welcome to Monday Night Live with the Stampmaven. That's me, and for those of you I haven't met yet, I'm here in Wiley, Texas, which is in North Texas. Yes, we had quite a bit of snow last week and ice. We even got down below zero. We did not lose our power, but our daughter and son-in-law and their infant and 2-year-old who live over in Lantana, they lost power. So they came over and hung out with us for 4 days. The first night they were here, our heater broke. That wasn't too much fun, but we found a wonderful air conditioning guy. His name is David Betts. It's Betts Air Conditioning. If you happen to live here in the Wiley area, I suggest if you have any air conditioning needs, you give him a buzz. He came out at midnight and was out here for about an hour and got us fixed up. So we were very grateful for that. I hope that if there's any of you watching tonight in Texas, that y'all got your power and your water back on. There's no snow on the ground anymore, and boy, that was just a roller coaster ride. But hey, not to worry. We're here tonight, and I have got a fun fold to teach you. So let me flip my camera around, and we will get started. I'm sure some of you who live in some other areas probably have had your share of crazy weather also. All right. Hey, Carol, I'm glad you could make it. All right. Well, the card that we're going to do tonight is actually, it's a pull-out fun fold card. And I'm going to show you a couple of different samples. This is one that I made with the Butterfly Brilliance suite of products that is going to be available on March 1st. Isn't this pretty cool? The little butterfly. You can just pop it through the window here, and then when you pop it in an envelope, then your person will be able to just see that. I also punched out these other little butterflies using the butterfly punch, the duet punch that doesn't even come with this suite, but it works. And then I wanted to show you this one. I'm actually sending it to a friend. It uses this little label die from our Tasteful Labels. This has become one of my go-to labels. Oh, hey, Diana, in sunny California, back into the low 70s today. Believe it or not, my car thermometer said 71 here. So let me just show you on this one too. This was a congratulations card, and this actually is some note cards that Stampin' Up! Used to sell. And here is another one, a yellow one. I found it in my stuff, and I thought, well, score, this can be a great card base, and I can send this card off to my friend. Now, tonight, like I mentioned, we're going to do this pull-out fun fold card. You might think that this is complicated, but it really isn't. And there are so many fun folds that you can do that aren't that complicated. Oh, Diane Little, 29 earlier, but it's getting chilly now. Well, I'm glad you're inside watching this live instead. So anyway, back to this card. Let's get started. So the first thing that I'm going to use is an 8.5 by 5.5 piece of petal pink cardstock. I have scored it at 4 1/4, and I'm going to take my bone folder here and I'm going to give this a good crease because we want that to lay down nicely. The next thing that we're going to use is a piece of white. I'm using Stampin' Up's Basic White. It is 8 inches by 5.5 inches. I'm sorry, it is 5 1/4 inches by 8. And we are going to score this at 4 inches. And our great trimmer has these 2 blades, so remember when you're scoring to move that cutting blade out of the way so you don't end up with 2 pieces. I've done that many times. So at 4 inches and 6 inches. Then we have got our piece here, and we're going to fold it like this. So then it is going to open like this. Okay, and again, we're going to crease this really well on all those areas. And if you get in the habit of doing this before you put all the pieces together on your card, it will be much easier. The other supplies I'm using, this is a 4 by 5 1/4 piece of the fine floral DSP. And then I'm also using this small piece of 1 3/4 by 5 inches. Let me show you quickly. It's part of this Fine Art Floral Suite on page 32 of our catalog, the mini catalog. It's this paper here. What's really cool about it is it's got all of these neat floral patterns, but then on the opposite side, it has what I would call more solid color pieces. So it is so versatile, and it has probably about 10 different colors in there. So there's just something for everybody. So then the other things I've started with is a scrap of Mary Merlot and then another scrap of Basic White. And I'll show you about these circles in a minute. I cut them with our layering circles dies, and I chose, you'll notice on the card here, there are 2 circles on the inside. The back one here is just colored cardstock. The front one is white, and I'm going to show you how we're going to stamp on that. And then the front has a bigger circle, which is this size here. So this, we can position it right through that circle. And then I am going to make a frame, and I'm going to show you how I did that with my circles. I love our layering circles, our layering ovals, our layering squares, and the stitched rectangles. And then this is the one, hey, from Florida, Gloria, how you doing tonight? This Tasteful Labels dies has so many different size labels that you can use. We're going to be using this little small one later. Okay, so I wanted to show you all of that, and I've got it. Now let's get stamping. First thing we're going to do is we are going to stamp right in this inside part of this white cardstock, and I do not want Poppy Parade. I want my Merlot. And I meant to grab that a little earlier, so bear with me here. So now I've got it, and I'm going to use this I miss you, because I'm actually going to send this card to my friend in California who I do dearly miss. All right. Wow, I even stamped that straight. Look at that. Pretty awesome. Okay, so now I did my greeting on the white piece. Now I'm going to bring in this white circle. Normally, I would stamp first and then cut out my circle, but there's a reason that I did it this way. So I wanted to be able to kind of see where this is going to fit right on the circle, and it was easier for me to have the circle and then do it. Now, I'm going to ink this up. Well, that's nice. Let me clean this off because it is not cooperating here. Fell right off of there. I must have some of my, I was stamping with this last night, and I bet I got Versamark on it, which now is making it hard to stick to my block. So we will just clean that right off, and we will try this again. All right. All right, there we go. So now I'm going to ink that up. And if you notice, if I stamp this straight on here, it's going to be very dark. And I don't want it to be that dark. So I'm actually going to stamp off twice. And now I'm going to stamp right on here. And I'm going to stamp this way because I want more of the big petals up here on the top. And I like to just hold it down here for a minute. Hey, Lori, another Florida girl there. All right. So there is my Merlot. Now, a lot of times you would stamp with the lighter color first. But I wanted to show you sometimes if you do it the other way and you stamp off just a little bit so it's not lined up totally correctly, you get kind of a fun little effect. Let's see if that came out right. If it didn't, I'll turn over my square and start it all over. I don't know if you can see it here, but it did work the way I wanted it to. It's got the pink just kind of peeking out of the edges. And let me show you, let's say you didn't like that. You can take the one that we stamped first, and of course, let's clean it with our chamois because we don't want to mix our different inks in there. So let's say now I wanted to do it this way. So I'll stamp with my petal pink first, and then I'll come back in with my Merlot. Again, off stamp twice because I don't want that to be really dark. And we'll just pop it on here. Okay, you know what? I think I like that a little bit better. What do you think? Whoops, come back here. On this one, the pink is just kind of peeking out, but I think I really do like this effect better. So it's my project, so I'm going to do that. All right, so what we're going to do next is we are going to take our stamped image and we are going to mount it right on this circle, the Merlot circle. I'm going to use my Stampin' silicone craft mat, if you don't have one of those, you definitely want to get one of those because it lets you ink up, I'm sorry, not ink up, it lets you roll your adhesive, and then if for some reason your adhesive kind of sticks, if you just roll it on here a little bit, it'll start advancing again. All right, now we are going to take our base here. We've got our petal pink, and I'm going to set that aside. Now, I am going to, this card, I use this pattern that in the Poppy Parade in the petal pink. I wanted to show you that there are so many different patterns of paper in this. No matter what color palette floats your boat, you'll find one in this fine floral DSP. Okay, so I'm going to adhere this on to my petal pink right here on the outside. Now, if you haven't seen my little trick to get your card lined up really well, if you put down one corner, then you get this other corner down, then you go around and rub down your edges, you get your border even all the way around. Whereas sometimes if you put down these corners or these corners, it gets a little cattywampus. So that's just a little tip. Oh, hey, Marcia, you like the second stamping a little bit better too? I'm going to show you, Diane, the size of the white circle. Okay, so what I did is I wanted there to be just a little bit of a border around when I did my white and the colored. So I got my layered circles and I started with the one that I thought would be the best for my image. And this one is just about 2 inches in the center. Then the next one is just about 2 1/4, which makes sense because that's kind of what's all the way around. Now, I also needed a scallop that was going to work so I would be able to create my little scalloped ring around here. And I'm going to show you that in a minute. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring in my big, well, it's not my Big Shot. I almost said the wrong thing. It is my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. So I'm going to take my card right here, and since I'm just going to be cutting, I'm not going to be embossing, I need my plate 1, 2, then I need 1, 3, then I need my card stock here, and I am just going to center this, the larger of my 2 rings, right in the center here, and then I'm going to cut out that whole circle. All right, so we're just going to give this a quick roll. All right, and then look, voila, I've got my little opening here, and I've got this cool piece left. I've got a few of these, and I'm going to have to figure out something to do with that. Now, I need to do my ring. I have got a little bit of misty moonlight in the center of these flowers, so I decided that is what I want on my ring to give it just a little pop. So the way we're going to do that is we are going to get my scallop here. And in this set of the circles, you'll notice there's, excuse me, there are other circles that you could use to make your ring. You could use this one here and it would make a small ring. Just experiment with these guys and you can figure out the ones that will work the best for you. So my scallop is, let's measure that. It is about 2 3/4 inches on the inside here. So then I'm going to just take this other larger one. I'm going to set it right down here on my paper. Make sure it's flat. And then I'm going to find, what did I do with, oh, would help if we have this plate on the top. All right, and then we're going to roll this back through. The neat thing about this machine, of course, you can roll it either way. And then when you're done, look at this. You just pop it back up and boom, it is ready to travel with you. Isn't that kind of cool? Let me bring back in what I just cut here so I can show you the rings. All right. So here we go. Here is our little ring. Isn't that cool? And then we also have this little circle that we can use for something else. All right, let's bring our card back in here. All right, so what we're going to do, we need to put down our inside piece, our white piece first. So let me get my mat here and I'm going to get my adhesive and see here how it's sticking. It's not advancing. I just put a little bit here. It's not going to stick. And then I can just go rolling merrily along and get my card stuck down. And the reason that happens, I've heard some demonstrators and some of my customers have told me they don't really like this adhesive. And what I've tried to get them to see, let me get this put down with my 2 corners, there we go, is you don't need to press that hard on this adhesive. It rolls and advances so nicely, whereas with the snail, we had to push down, and I think some of us, it's a little hard to break that habit. So you just go very gently and then kind of flick it up at the end. And then that works really well. Okay, so do you see here how our card is coming together? We've got the I miss you. Now we've got, remember this strip that we cut here? 1 3/4 by 5. We are going to get some adhesive, and you could also use this nifty liquid glue. That works great too. I kind of switch back and forth between those depending on my mood. I've been using the green glue a little more lately just because it's a little more forgiving when you're putting on layers. It allows, whoops, you know what? I need to cut this down a little. Let me do that quickly here. I probably was talking to somebody and didn't quite have it trimmed to the size I needed. All right. There we go. Now let's stick it down here. And there we go. We can get that right on there. And there it is. So now we've got our prettiness on the inside. And what we need to do now is we need to get this little guy in here. Now, remember how I told you this circle and this outside Mary Merlot are the same size. So what we're going to do is we're going to stick that right through that little hole. See how that works? So now we know exactly where we need it to be placed, and we can come right in with our adhesive and we can pop that down. Now, of course, you only want to put your adhesive on the part that's adhered to this pull-out panel, because if you put it over here, of course, it would stick, and we don't want that. Now, I'm going to get my little pearls because I think we need some bling on this. Now, on this card, I put them in the middle, but if you noticed here when I was stamping, I got a little ink right here. Now, sometimes, I don't worry about that. But since I'm going to be mailing this card out, I want to cover that up. Well, looky here. All we have to do is stick our little pearl right there, and nobody even knows that the little boo-boo is under there. And I'm sure you're not going to tell them, are you? No, you wouldn't do that to me. All right, this little guy popped away. I should be using my take your pick tool, and then it wouldn't be going over there as much. Okay, I've got 3, and I'm going to add 2 more. Have you heard that rule? An artist told me that once, that when you are putting on like embellishments or focal kind of things on your cards, you want to do them in odd numbers. I guess that is more pleasing to the eye. So I try to use 3, 5, 7, and I think, it probably does look kind of cool like that. So there's my little bling on there. Now we are going to take our little ring, and for this I am going to use my liquid glue. Hopefully it will cooperate. Yes, it's coming out the right way. And you notice here, I'm just going to pop around and put my little dots. You don't want it squishing out. So if you just put little dots all the way around, it will work very nicely. Okay, now I'm going to just get this ring, get it placed where I want it, pat it down, and make sure I don't move it. Okay, and then doesn't that add such a cool touch to this? I just love this. Now, the last thing we need to do is I have got my Hey Girlfriend. I stamped that ahead of time. So I'm going to bring back in my machine, and I'm going to get my plates, and we are going to just roll this little Hey Girlfriend, and I want it to go this way. So let me get my cutting part down here. This was April Lopez's $1 million stamp set. April is just such an awesome friend and stamper. I'm so excited that she got to design her $1 million set and that she used the Hey Girlfriend theme, which fits April to a T. All right, let me set my machine back here. Now, something else that I'm going to use tonight that I didn't use on my original card is this yummy ribbon. It is from that Fine Art Suite, and I am going to just use a little piece, and I'm going to show you what I do a lot of times when I don't want to either use a lot of ribbon or maybe I don't have a lot left. So if you just cut off, I think I've got about 3 inches here, and you fold it over and make a little loop. Then you turn your sentiment over, pop a little adhesive on that, and then you've got just a little bit of a ribbon pop on here, and you haven't used, a ton of it. So let me get my dimensionals here, and I'm going to use 3 because I want to make sure with this ribbon on the back that this does not come off my card. That would not be too exciting, would it? All right, and I will look at your comments when we're done with the live. Of course, the recording will post, and then any questions that you have, I will be glad to answer them. All right, the last thing that I'm going to do is I want to put 3 more little pearls right down here. You could also color these pearls with your Stampin' Blends, but for this card, I think there's enough color in my paper. I'm going to let that paper be the star of the show. So we are just going to use these pearls as they are. And voila! Oops, let me get off that paper. What do you think, guys? Do you like that card? And it wasn't that hard to make. Thanks, Carol. Thanks, Opal. Another little tip for you, I think I mentioned this on last week's live. I do these lives every Monday night at 6. Sometimes if you see a card and you think, oh my goodness, that just looks so complicated. I don't want to waste all this paper. What if I don't cut it right or whatever? Hey, get some copy paper, get an old magazine, get some cardstock in a color that you hate. Try it on that. That way, if you make some cutting mistakes, no big deal. It doesn't matter at all. Now, I just wanted to tell you a couple things. If you enjoyed this live, you might enjoy signing up for my monthly online technique classes. Oh, Diane, you're going to make some. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed this project. I know some of you that are on the live have signed up for my monthly technique class, and this month I'm going to be teaching you 2 techniques using regular old household bleach. I'm also going to show you clear block stamping, and I'm going to give you a bonus funfold that you would be able to reproduce time and time again. I'm going to post the link in the comments. The early bird price ends soon, so you don't want to miss that. Now, this card, remember that I showed you in the beginning, this uses that Butterfly Brilliance collection of products that is coming on March 2nd for customers. If you'd like me to order that for you so you don't forget, shoot me an email. You could also order it now if you wanted to join Stampin' Up. There's some perks that you get joining during celebration. You get, I think it's 5 extra packs of designer series paper, along with you get to choose $125 in product. All you pay is tax, no shipping. Yes, Sue, I will post the measurements for this in the comments after this recording goes live. Opal, you are more than welcome for me sharing this. I love to just share new ideas and projects with you guys. So thank you so very much for spending the time with me. I try to keep these to about a half hour. I went 5 minutes over. So I will just end the recording now, see if there's any comments, and if I don't see you before, I'll see you next Monday, right here at 6 o'clock. Bye-bye.